What's up guys, how you all doing? Cosmic Carry here, bringing another World Tanks video. For those of you that are new here, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, and for my regular viewers and subscribers, hello, welcome one and all. And today I shall be conducting a review of my E-100 tier 10 German heavy tank. This is the first tier 10 tank that I unlocked. This review is kind of intended, of course, for my channel, for my subscribers and regular viewers, but mainly it's intended for people who are debating which tier 10 tank to go for, basically, and for people that are in general new to World of Tanks. So the E-100, big behemoth beast of a machine, weighing in approximately 130-150 tons, very heavy machine. None were actually built, just blueprints, chassis, that was it. And but it is what it is. On paper it's a big massive behemoth beast of a machine that that kicks butt, basically. Yes indeed. And I was so glad that I actually unlocked this tank. I was so glad that I unlocked the E-100 as my first tier 10 machine, because it has been a wonderful introduction as a tank into World of Tanks. Any other tank would have kind of diminished the fun that there is to be had in World of Tanks. So the E-100, let's take a look at those stats. First of all, 2,700 hit points, a whole bunch of hit points for one big machine. Of course, I believe this is the largest amount of hit points you're going to get in a tier 10 machine on World of Tanks Xbox 360. Now the weight of the machine, you'd think that this would be a slow lumbering beast, and in certain situations, yes indeed, it definitely is. But to me, this is a fast tank for its size, for its weight, for how big it is and how tall it is. To me, it's fast. It truly is fast. It's almost magical to me on the battlefield, you know, how fast it goes. And that's because of the horsepower engine, the high horsepower engine, 1,200 horsepower, which makes this tank hustle. It really does make it move. And when you're out on the open field, I've come across the E75s and I've overtook them no problemo. It does hustle, it does move, but at the same time, in certain situations, it doesn't. For instance, when you're immobile and you want to get that acceleration going, you want to get to full power, you want to get out of a situation, or you want to get a shot on target around the corner, etc. It does take a while to reach that full power. It takes about 2-3 seconds to reach that full power, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but in World of Tanks, seconds count. Seconds definitely count. And also uphill, like I said, racing with an E75, no problemo, overtake them, go past them. But once you hit that hill, once you hit a hill, oh, that's a different story. Then the weight finally kicks in, and it's a slow lumbering beast, you know, 5-10 miles an hour, whatever it is. Going up that hill, it's going to take you forever. Hopefully someone will give you a nudge in the backside. Yes indeed. And but I'm not here to talk about the speed of the E-100, because that's not what's important. It's first in line of stats. What's important are the three main things that are important on the E-100 is the hit points, of course, which we've discussed, the armor, which we're about to discuss, and also the gun. Those are the three main things that makes the E-100 shine. So let's take a look at the stats on the armor. Of course, the armor looks great. It looks fantastic. 290 hull armor front, 120 on the sides, and the rear 150. Turret armor on the front 250, on the sides and the rear 150. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. That, you know, on paper that's good to go, no problemo. But the thing that isn't on paper is the way the armor is angled, the way the armor, the way the armor is sloped. I mean, if you take a look at this thing, there are literally no flat surfaces. There are no flat surfaces facing you, so to speak. If you know how to drive this thing and use this thing effectively, you are bounce city central. You truly are. There is nothing, well, nothing, of course, nothing. It's World of Tanks. You're just going to be bouncing shots left, right and center. It is important, also important, to learn how to drive this thing properly in an effective manner, especially when you're coming at your enemies. When you're coming at your enemies, do not come at them full frontal. Never come at them full frontal. You always need to be coming at them at a slight angle, and they have zero chance. Well, not zero chance. Again, they're gonna have a tough time inflicting damage, penetrating. Yeah, you're gonna just hear shots, doing, you know, left, right, and center. You know, steel wall medals in this you will get galore. Never come at your opponent facing them. The front plate of your turret can be penetrated by the right gun, of course, but also the lower plate between the tracks right there is the Achilles heel of the E-100. That is the Achilles heel. And at the same time, if you angle your tank, even the lower plate, people will bounce. They will bounce. And I've taken on many E-100s where the driver knew what he was doing, and I would attempt shot after shot onto that lower plate, and I would just bounce. On second thoughts, tell you the truth, the main Achilles heel of the E-100 is the actual driver. Of course it is. I mean, that's in any tank really. But absolutely, come at your opponents in the proper manner, angle your tank, and you will be rewarded big time in your big beautiful E-100. When you're coming at your opponents as well, your turret, you don't have to face your turret towards the enemies as you're attacking. I mean, if you're reloading, I always say when you're reloading, you're impotent, you're not doing anything, you know, you're ineffective. Pull back. But in the E-100, because she's somewhat slow, I know I said she was fast, but you know, in certain situations, you know, she's slow. In certain situations, you're going to be reloading. You're going to be reloading, and the guys, they can see you, they can get shots on you. Don't face them. Don't allow them to penetrate that front face of the turret. Don't give them that joy. And also wiggle like crazy. That angle your tank and wiggle like crazy. Wiggle the chassis, wiggle the turret, just wiggle. Absolutely. And but if you're facing an E-100, what are the main weaknesses? Don't bother going for that front plate above the lower plate. Nothing can penetrate that because of the angle, the steep angle. I don't think anybody has ever penetrated that front plate on my E-100s, not that I can recall. So if you come in at the E-100, that lower plate is key. If an E-100 is coming at you and it's coming at you like this, that means the guy has just bought this thing. That means he doesn't know how to drive it. So have at it. Go for it. Inflict pain, damage and suffering onto that lower plate. Like I said, the front of the turret you can penetrate with the right gun. The sides can be penetrated. I like hitting the sides on the enemy E-100, the side of the turret. If you're in a tank, I'm assuming with a lower profile, kind of not as tall as the E-100, and you attempt to hit that side, you know, it is sloped, so there's definitely a possibility you're going to be bouncing your shot. So keep that in mind. You want to get when you hit whenever you hit a tank, you want to kind of T-bone it with your shell, if you understand what I mean. T-bone. You guys understand what I'm saying. But and from the rear, E-100s catch fire. You know, the engines catch fire. I highly advise you to have a fire extinguisher, of course, because when you get the shot in between this exhaust, you know, you're gonna set this thing on fire. And as you can see, the back plate of the turret is almost at a 90-degree angle, almost. So that's the only place on the E-100 where there is a bit of armor that is almost at a 90-degree angle. So that is weak. And of course the disc there in the center is weak as well. So continuing on, the traverse speed on this big beautiful behemoth, of course, is abysmal. You know, 22 degrees for the turret and the chassis. But yeah, it's absolutely abysmal. What do you expect? You're in a massive monster kraken of a tank. Your worst enemies pretty much are scouts. Not necessarily a worst enemy, but they can be, you know, a pain in the butt. They can run circles around you, and it is frustrating when that happens. It's ridiculously frustrating and somewhat embarrassing. And you cannot get a bead on them. You cannot. It's just, don't bother. It's impossible to try. What I would advise, if you're in this kind of situation, is pull back up against the wall, and that kind of renders his encircling ineffective, and you'll get a shot on the guy. But let's talk about the gun. That's another key thing with the E-100. Initially, the stock gun on the E-100 is basically the best gun that you had on the E-75 Tier 9 British heavy, the tank right before this. So you're used to this gun. And initially, when you get unlock the E-100, you think, what? There's no improvement here. There's no, you know, I've been rolling in this for the past month, you know, on my E-75. What's the upgrade here? What's the upgrade? And yeah, indeed, on paper, you know, it's not that much of an upgrade, absolutely, because it's the same gun. 4.2 shots a second to 48 penetration, damage 490, aiming time and accuracy terrible, not very good at all. But the key, you know, to the E-100 is basically unlocking the bigger gun, the 150mm gun, and that's when getting the E-100 kind of it finally kind of kicks in. You start getting rewarded. You know, it's not a fantastic gun. It's not a, oh my god, amazing gun. And you know, for a tier 10, you'd expect something even better. But to me, I'm happy with the gun. I have no problem with the gun at all. And when as you can see, the rate of fire decreases to 3 rounds per minute penetration, 235 damage, 750, going all the way up to 950. Aiming time accuracy is still the same, 2.9, 0.4. But with World of Tanks, they like to balance out the tanks. Strengths here, weaknesses here. You got to compensate for that. You got to protect, you know, your weaknesses and push forward your strength. Yeah, your strengths in every single tank. It's all balanced out. You have a big fat gun, but you have crappy armor. You know, you have speed, but something else is kind of inadequate and lacking on the tank. So they want to balance it out. They don't want to make an OP tank that's just going to dominate, because then what's the point of playing? You know, you just be annihilated every single game by this OP tank. So that's why the E-100 doesn't have a fantastic, amazing gun. But to me personally, it is a fantastic, amazing gun. You know, because of the fact I got this armor. You know, I have when I zoom in on a target, I haven't lost my hit points. You know, I'm the accuracy is terrible, the aiming time is terrible, but it's compensated for by my armor, you know. And you can still do absolute wonders with this gun, and especially since the 1.3 update, I've noticed you can ammo rack tanks galore and get 1000 damage all the way up to 1500 damage. So it's to me, it's a great gun. I'm happy with the gun. I have no problem whatsoever rolling out in my E-100 in with this gun. Absolutely. One thing that is also very important when you're facing the E-100 is the two types of gun and how they appear on the battlefield. And it is important for you guys that are facing the E-100 pardon me, to recognize the two different guns, because they signify what kind of driver is rolling in the E-100. So let's go ahead and look at what the two different guns look like basically. So 128mm, this is the first package. Okay, load that up, and there you go. That's the 128mm. As you can see, it's very, very long. There is no muzzle at the end of it, or whatever it is you want to call it, but it's very long, thin compared to the second gun. And it is important to recognize this gun when you see an E-100, and when you're considering your options when facing up to this big bad behemoth basically. Because if you see this gun, and signifies that the gentleman who's just who's rolling in this machine is possibly has only just unlocked it, and possibly that also signifies that he might have some weaknesses when it comes to driving the E-100 in terms of the front lower plate. So make sure you evaluate his play style when you see this type of gun, and kind of guesstimate whether or not he's just unlocked it. If he's exposing his lower plate too much, then have at it, go for it basically. So that is kind of important, and I always look out for this when I'm on the battlefield and I see another E-100. But let me just go ahead and show you the 150mm. As you can see, the 150mm big badass gun, big badass, shorter but thicker, and it has that muzzle at the end of it. So if you see one of these coming at you, respect him, respect the guy who's driving this thing, respect the tank. You can pretty much assume that he knows how to angle his armor, how to angle his tank, how to protect his lower plate, and show some respect to your opponent basically, and be very, very afraid of him. So one more time, this is the 150mm, shorter, thicker with the muzzle, and this is the 128, thinner but longer, no muzzle. Very, very important when you're facing an E-100 on the battlefield. So let's talk about the ammo that comes equipped on the E-100. Three different types: regular, standard, armor piercing, the premium ammo, and the high explosive. Now I have to say, I'm definitely not an expert in using anything other than the standard ammo. I do stock my tank with all three types, but I've hardly ever used anything other than my standard shells. I've never been basically in a situation where I need them. I have actually used them. Of course, the E-100 comes with the regular standard armor piercing, the premium anti-tank shells, and high explosives. And because of the slow reload speed, you want to be loaded up with the shell that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. And to me, that's just the regular standard shells basically. The premium ammo is just that, it's premium, it's expensive, it's 6,000 silver coins per shot, and I do use it, and I do use it in desperate situations. I don't use it when I'm holding back, and I can, I'm at my leisure, I'm unloading, onto the bad guys, because bang for buck, when it comes to money wise, when you fail those shots with the premium ammo, you say to yourself, "Oof, that was 6,000 silver coins down the toilet." And you don't want to be thinking like that. Basically, when you're on the battlefield, that's the last thing you want to be thinking about, is cost, expenditure. You don't want to be thinking about that. It kind of distracts you from why you're there initially. You're there to win a battle, you're there to blow up tanks. But like I said, when it comes to, like, I'm in the last man standing situation, yes, I do pull out the premium ammo. I do pull it out. The high explosive, again, it's all a question of, you got 20 seconds to reload. Okay, I can use the high explosives because it travels in an arc and splash damage, etc., etc. But the thing is, if you're in that kind of situation where you need the high explosives ammo, so you load it up, chances are by the time you load up that ammo, that situation will have morphed into something completely different, and you might be reverting back to the standard ammo or the premium ammo. So because of that reload speed, I just keep on loading up my standard ammo. That's what I basically use, and I'm very happy with the results, as my videos show. And lo and behold, during the course of me making this review, I do actually get into a situation on the battlefield where I do actually need the high explosive shells. So let's take a look at this footage and explain what's going on. Basically, I'm facing off against 3 tanks, 2 of them being E-100s. I believe the third one was a Jagdpanzer. I'm not too sure, I can't remember. But and I've tried everything. Basically, I've tried my standard shells, I've tried my my premium shells, and nothing can penetrate the turrets on these E-100s. So I finally decide to pull out my high explosives, and as you can see, I get a nice little hit there. And yes, of course, it's just the 2 E-100s versus 1 E-100, and so I'm in a very, very difficult situation. I am being supported by 2 compadres here. But I just wanted to show you this clip because it basically demonstrates what's happening basically when you're using high explosive shells. The turret on the armor cannot be penetrated by the premium shell or the standard shell, so I go in with my high explosives. And with the high explosives, to make it as effective as possible, you basically want to hit it. You want to T-bone, the surface that you're aiming for. Hit it just right, just so perfectly. And it doesn't actually penetrate. All it does is create damage. And if you think of it as basically like a hand grenade, and you're throwing a hand grenade, it doesn't actually penetrate the shell of the tank, but nonetheless it explodes and it causes some damage basically. And basically this is your only option. If you're in this kind of situation, nothing else would do, so you just have to pick away at the bad guys with your high explosive ammo, and just do your best and try and get that angle of that shell just right, just perfect. And as you can see, I'm doing pretty well, but it's not high damage. It is what it is basically. But I'm bringing you this clip because I just wanted to explain to you exactly how the high explosive ammo works basically. So let's talk about the equipment that I personally have loaded onto my E-100, and also the skills and perks that I have unlocked in my big beautiful beast. A large caliber tank armor rammer that decreases your loading time by 10% for heavies and for any machines in general that have a long loading time. I mean, this is basically, you know, a must for a long reloading time. Vertical stabilizer Mark II adds 20% to accuracy during movement and turret rotation. With this, I noticed this straight away as soon as I loaded it on, like when you're moving and stuff like that. It just improves your gameplay, you know, just that tiny bit, and just gives you a slight edge basically. And coated optics adds 10% to view range up to a range of 500 meters. Now with the skills and perks that I've unlocked, I have a whole bunch actually unlocked on my E-100, but that's basically pardon me, because of the fact that one of the first tanks that I purchased was a T-25, and that thing was basically fully loaded, you know, with a whole bunch of skills and perks already unlocked. And when I finally got to my E-100, I just transferred my crew into the E-100, and so I have a huge amount of skills and perks, as you can see. Well, when you're selecting your skills and perks, I mean, you basically want to strengthen your weaknesses basically first of all, and then strengthen everything else basically. So that's my philosophy basically when it comes to unlocking skills and perks. So I have Sixth Sense, repairs, very important when you're tracked and that lower plate is exposed. I mean, your tracks will get repaired within like 2 seconds. Camouflage, recon, firefighting. E-100's engine catches on fire a lot. Jack of all trades, controlled impact, snapshot, smooth ride, situational awareness, designated target, brothers in arms, Deadeye, and currently working on, I haven't got a clue what I'm working on. What am I working on? I'm not even sure. Anyhow, so these are the skills and perks that I have basically unlocked in my E-100. So let's do a little demonstration of the benefits of driving in an E-100, the benefits of angling your armor, the benefits of having such great sloped armor, and I just want to showcase in this first clip how fantastic a machine this is. And I must warn you, this is most probably the most insane bit of footage that you've ever seen of me in my E-100, but it just demonstrates how important it is to angle your tank, how important it is to wiggle your tank, and never give them like a full frontal view of your tank. Absolutely never. And as you can see, we're on Erlenberg and I'm crossing the bridge here, and a lot of people will watch this and think, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you thinking? This is stupid, this is insane. But I do these kind of things basically because, simply put, I have a YouTube channel and I need interesting footage, and this definitely was very interesting footage. This is actually most probably the most insane clip battle sequence of myself in my E-100. But at the same time, when I put myself in these situations, I'm confident in my tank. I'm confident in my tank because of the fact that I'm in my E-100. I am totally alone here, and it feels like I've landed on the Juno Beach in D-Day, and I'm fine with that. I have no problem being that person because I'm in my E-100. Of course, I'm being supported by my TDs on the left, but did I have that in mind when I was in this situation right now? No, they weren't going to save me. My E-100 was going to basically save me because of the fact that I'm going to angle it just so, because of the fact that my turret is the only thing that's poking up basically, and nothing else. And I'm not going to give up an inch. And look, good gun, good gun. See, it's a fantastic gun, absolutely. And once in a blue moon, it does let you down. But I'm constantly mobile. I'm constantly moving. They're not even seeing an inch of my lower plate. This is perfect positioning for an E-100. Just keep mobile, keep moving. Do not stay still for a second. I mean, look at this gentleman. He tries, nah, bounce, bounce, bounce. I've yet to lose any hit points. 2,700 hit points. How many shells have bounced off me? A gazillion so far. But I have no problem being in this situation. I have no problem being where I am, because I'm confident in my tank. I'm confident in its armor. I'm confident of my placement, of my moves, you know, and I'm just not allowing them to get any kind of effective shots on me. I'm not allowing them to I'm not giving them my full front, and especially that low play. They just cannot see it. Yeah, as you can see, I can barely see them. So, and of course, there you go, get my first bit of damage, and lo and behold, a little scout appears. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you ready for the madness? Okay, let the madness ensue. Remember what I said about the turret traverse speed? Look at this. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. And all I'm doing here is trying to ram him. And now what do you do? Now what do you do? What can you do? Don't let them get behind you. You know, pull back, pull back. Don't let them get behind you. And unfortunately for this little scout, he fails. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, buddy number one. Guns loaded. Okay, look at this gentleman here. Are you kidding me? No problemo. And I have to give credit where credit is due. My compadres took out that gentleman. And will they take out this gentleman? Who's going to die? Who's going to die? And at this moment, I'm ramming speed. I'm just trying to ram. You can take out big chunks of armor, hit points out of your opponent. 300 to 400, 500 by ramming. Little bit of a desperate shot. I am counting on my teammates. I definitely am, and of course I'm counting on the fact that I'm in the E-100. And he just cannot. He just cannot do it. He just cannot do it. So let's move on to the next bit of footage. Now moving on to my next segment, my next clip of gameplay. This gameplay basically demonstrates what kind of player you can be in this beast of a behemoth, and what kind of confidence this machine gives you. Keep in mind, of course, I've had 500 plus games in my E-100, a buttload, I know, but what I've found that it gives you so much confidence on the battlefield, and even when you're up against crazy odds, as in the previous clip, of course. But that was, you know, to tell you the truth, that was absolutely nuts. That was crazy, and there was a bit of luck, and I was supported by my teammates, of course. But in this gameplay, I'm basically surrounded by the bad guys. There's bad guys on all sides, pretty much, and I do hide somewhat. I do place myself very well, but I do get a sixth sense a number of times and detect it, basically. And good gun. And but yet nobody seems to come at me, and is that because I'm in an E-100? I have no, you know, idea. I would presume so, basically. You know, the bad guys could have come at me, but at the same time, if you look at where I'm placed and you look at the red dots on the screen, I'm literally, you know, just a less than a stone's throw away from these bad guys, and I have no problem being where I am, and within a matter of seconds they could all charge me and take me out, and not for dinner basically. But I have no problem scooting up here and taking pot shots at them, because I feel totally confident in my E-100, and that's one of the key nice features of the E-100. It gives you bags and bags of confidence, because you got that armor, a good gun, you're good to go. You're good to go basically. Another E-100, as you can see, that E-100 has got the first gun. What is it? The 78mm? I can't remember. But I'm not intimidated. I'm not intimidated by, you know, where I am. There is one TD behind me. I believe he's a T95. You know, but how much is he going to support me? But I'm here because I have bags of confidence in my machine, and I have bags of confidence in the way I can use my machine, you know, effectively. And as you can see, I'm just popping up, and never exposing more than my turret, basically. My lower plate is, you know, sacred to me, and I'm not letting anybody have a sneak peek at my lower plate, basically. And but I do, of course, I eventually, I'll spoil it, I do eventually get overrun, and that simply just exposes one of the weaknesses of the E-100, which is its slow reload speed. You know, there's just too many bad guys, I get overrun. But right now, as you can see, I'm pushing so very deep. There's 2, 3, 4 tanks, you know, they could all turn their turrets towards me and pound me into oblivion, but no, not scared, not intimidated. I was in this situation a few days ago, exactly the same position, and I was pitted against 2 E-75s, and they were dead set. You know, they wanted to take me out. And I didn't even blink. I didn't even falter for a second. I didn't even pull back. I didn't stupidly rush in, and, you know, I just took my time, kept my lower plate hidden, just popped up my turret, and I had no problem taking on 2 E-75s. And as you can see, I'm good to go here. I have no problem, you know, doing what I do. I'm confident in my moves, confident in my abilities, and my gun is doing pretty well. I did get a bounce there, but as you can see, I'm not sure how that tank was placed, you know, what angle, you couldn't see it clearly, etc. But as I'm slowly getting kind of overrun, as you can see, there's more and more red dots kind of closing in, so to speak. I'm still not giving up. You know, I'm holding my ground. I'm not budging. I'm not moving. I take my shot, I pull back, and I pull up again, and I have no problem doing what I do. And this is not me. This is basically the E-100. This I would have died long ago if it was any other tank. You know, of course the armor is protecting me, and I'm doing very, very well. I'm kind of watching the gameplay here, and as you can see, I said this gentleman has got the first package, the first gun, and I've mentioned before that look out for the gun. You know, look out for the, I can't remember, is it 78mm? Look out for that gun, because chances are he's new to driving the E-75, and he's going to be exposing his lower plate. And my 2 shots on that E-100, both of them are on the lower plate, which kind of proves exactly what I'm talking about. But he does take me out. But he could have been anyone, basically, because, you know, I was just overrun. What can you do? But a great demonstration of the E-100. And you take a look at those stats. Of course, I was on the losing team. We ended up losing. And but look at that damage. You know, 6,000 damage. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. And you're gonna come out in, you know, in the top 3, top 5, top 1 position with damage. No problema. This machine just gives you bags and bags of confidence. It really does. And in conclusion, I hope this review has helped you guys understand what it's like to roll out in my E-100. This was the first tier 10 tank, German, that I unlocked basically, and I've never looked back. I am so happy that I chose this as my first tier 10 tank to go for, and the ride to getting this machine has been fabulous as well, because you get to play in some fantastic tanks: Panther, Tiger II, E75. You know, E75 especially, I'm going to do a review on that. Also a fantastic tank. But the E-100, for those of you who are new to World of Tanks and are considering which route to go down, I'd highly recommend going down the route towards the E-100, because once you get it, it is so rewarding to play it, and a lot of people forget about the fun factor in World of Tanks. This tank is, without question, out of all my tanks, the most fun to play. It is so much fun, and it gives you bags and bags of confidence, and it kind of compensates for your weaknesses. You know, it's very, very forgiving on the battlefield because of the armor. If you make a mistake, and etc, etc, it'll protect you, you know, and it doesn't basically turn a weak player into a strong player. Don't get me wrong. You know, you need to know how to use this thing, how to angle your tank, etc, etc. But I'm so glad that I unlocked the E-100, because it, like I said, it's just bags and bags of fun. For those of you who are thinking about which first tier 10 tank to go for, and for those of you who are veterans of you know, World of Tanks, and are thinking about considering should I get the E-100, I would say yes, absolutely go for it. It is just a ton of fun. I'm waiting for the day when I roll out on the battlefield and it's nothing but E-100s. Actually, that kind of sounds nuts at the same time. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed my review. Adios muchachos. See you on the battlefield.